when it comes to creating your perfect home, it's often better to renovate than relocate.
This is a house that's been torn to shreds.
Whether you're building out
This is quite the project.
Or reworking what you already have.
Well, that's ridiculous. You just need to get a proper wardrobe.
the decisions you make along the way can make all the difference.
The house is still 10 times better than it was.
10 times. So we're looking back at some of our most brilliant builds.
That's lovely.
Oh, wait till you see everything we've done.
That were taken on by some inspiring families.
I think Alan spent too much time painting this house.
With the aim of answering one all-important question.
Are you going to love it?
Or list it.
Today, we're looking at changing rooms and how those changes can transform lives for the better.
It feels like it's us still.
As we tackle two different houses
It's my most comfortable place in my life.
and meet two couples with very different needs. But who, in the end, will have to answer the same question.
Are you going to love it?
Or are you going to list it?
Nowadays, because we are asking a lot more of our homes, we're using them in so many different ways. People are spotting opportunities to change the use of rooms, and I don't think they used to do that in the past. But it's perfectly possible to change the use of room. A utility room doesn't have to be a utility room. And in some of the shows, you have helped people
Yes.
through that, swapping
Yeah.
things.
I mean, the only thing really that prevents you changing use of rooms is there are fire regs about access and stuff, and there's plumbing issues. Other than that, the world's your oyster. I always say to people, whenever you look around a house, do not assume you're going to use those rooms the way those people do. It's only a dining room if it's got a dining table in it. Could be a study, could be a gym, could be a playroom.
I love to see houses, and we've talked lots about this in the past, that can evolve as people's needs
Yeah.
naturally evolve, as families change. What would you say is the most popular change that people do to their home?
Kitchens, I think, is the most popular because people do want to update their kitchen, and fashions change, cooking fashions change, eating fashions change.
True, I hadn't thought of that.
And there are things that get cheaper. The internet opened up the possibility of buying things secondhand, really drilling down into the cost of things.
When we're spending so much more time at home, we're asking our homes to work that much harder for us, then you do start to pick faults in it.
Change is good, and there are loads of ways of changing your home. You can change paint colours, you can
Yes.
change cushions. There are loads of things you can do without actually spending a lot of money.
And so, with Kirsty's big book of house changes tucked into her bag, at the start of 2022, we headed to Mapperley, a popular suburb in the northeast of Nottingham. We're here to help part-time medical researcher Sue and her retired husband Richard decide what to do with their 4-bed Edwardian home.
The couple met at a local church group and bought this house almost 30 years ago.
We just fell in love with it, really, didn't we, as soon as we walked in?
Yeah.
But what was once their dream home is no longer fit for purpose since Richard had a stroke 2 years ago.
As well as his speech, it ended up affecting his right-hand side as well.
Yeah.
So can't use his right arm. OK, up with your good leg. Originally, you couldn't walk at all, but you've done really well. You worked so hard at your rehab.
Yeah.
Richard is unsure whether he will recover his speech. In the meantime, he's found his own way of making sure his opinion is heard using a special app on his tablet.
I want to move because I would like a house that's more suitable for our needs now.
Despite their recent change in circumstances, Sue feels there's still a lot to love about their home.
It's just the size of the rooms and the space that we've got here. I think the lovely big bay windows and the light that you get. We've got amazing views.
Yeah.
You can see for miles over Nottingham.
So we need to get Sue and Richard back on the same page as soon as possible.
Very nice to meet you both.
Yeah.
And you?
So tell us, what's this all about? Who wants to love, who wants to list?
Who wants to love? I want to list.
And how come? What's the background here?
2 years ago, Richard was just coming up to retirement and he went out for a cycle ride, slipped on ice and had some really bad chest injuries. He broke your ribs and collarbone. And then one day I came into the hall and there's Richard sitting on the bottom of the stairs talking gobbledygook, looking at his phone. I realised he'd had a stroke.
Why do you feel this house can't cope, or what are you looking for?
If we move somewhere, that's all on one level, without steps and stairs. Then I'd be able to go wherever I want in the house and garden. This would give me more independence.
Yeah.
Also, if we moved somewhere that doesn't need as much maintenance, then we wouldn't have to worry about jobs that need doing around the house. And we'd have more time to enjoy ourselves by going out or doing things together.
OK, there's 3 different things in there. The first is obviously the accessibility to the entire house. The second is the accessibility to the entire garden. And the third is the maintenance element of it.
But so you feel it can be made to work, do you?
Yeah, I do. I think, I don't know exactly what, but I just think the hassle of moving and all the things that are involved with that, it would just be easier to do some tweaks with our house to make it more usable.
The kitchen.
That has always been a bit of an issue.
Right, OK.
Yes. And we get in each other's way because you've got a little wheelie chair that you use, although you don't need that for walking around in the kitchen because Richard can only use his left hand. If he wants to get things out or put things away, he needs a stick in that hand.
Yeah.
So by wheeling himself around and standing up and sitting down, he can put things away.
Right, totally understand that. Yeah.
But if you're both in the kitchen,
So we're both in the kitchen, we're then banging into each other.
Yeah.
I think we need to have a look at what we're working with here.
With a house this size, we're certainly not going to need to add any more space.
But reconfiguring rooms to suit Richard's needs in a period house like this could be quite a challenge.
It's got this amazing scullery room with a window. But I look at this and I just think, sensational downstairs loo.
The ground floor might be an easy fix, but what about upstairs?
An absolutely cracking view. That is something that is going to be very, very difficult for me to compete with. And that is, you can see for 10 miles, that's phenomenal. They want to be on a single level. Ain't going to get a view like that.
They certainly won't. But given that I have so much space to work with and a healthy Love-It budget of £50,000, I think there's a lot that can be done to make this house more suitable longer term.
I can see why both Sue and Richard love this house, but it's just not practical for their new needs. Whereas with my listed budget of £550,000, I should be able to find them a home where they'll feel more comfortable well into the future.
But don't forget the stamp duty and moving costs coming in at £22,500, money that could be better spent elsewhere.
There is so much more going on with this house than just whether you can adapt it to suit or not.
I know.
They love it, and it's a beautiful house.
It's adored. It's adored. It's so full of beautiful things.
But Richard wants to access his whole house really easily and without Sue being here, and the garden.
Richard is the first to say that accessibility was not the only issue, and the light, the views. If you're spending more time in your house and you're getting out and about less, then wow.
Sue needs to get out and live her life, and Richard needs to live his life. And that's going to be challenging. I mean, looking down across Nottingham, I'm not seeing a lot of bungalows.
No. Absolutely.
To tackle the challenges Richard and Sue face each day, I've decided to focus my plan on the ground floor.
Let's address downstairs. The light is here at the front, and although it's just the two of you, you can eat in the kitchen. It's sad not to benefit from this room on a more regular basis.
I think the existing lounge should remain as it is. Then, by removing the walls between the kitchen and the dining room, we'll create a large open-plan kitchen diner with a comfy seating area. The extra 4 square metres of space will allow them to move around the kitchen together more easily. The scullery will become a versatile toilet-cum-utility room, and double doors will open out onto a new decking area, enabling Richard to safely access the garden on his own.
It's really difficult to picture it all going really way through it without it being...
It's really difficult to picture it. It's a big room, though.
It is. It would be a really big room, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't detract from the value to have...
No, not quite the reverse.
To have a big room rather than separate rooms.
Absolutely not, no.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
You had a lot going on there.
They wanted to be together in the space. They wanted to do things together. And with Richard's difficulty to move around, need to sit down, that had become more difficult.
It was a beautiful house, but actually, thinking about it, the kitchen was really small.
Yeah.
And they couldn't move around it.
No.
So that needed to be changed.
It needed to be
But they
changed.
didn't want to affect the feel and the character.
What you have to remember about that is that he'd gone through this profound change for him as a couple. They hadn't really had a chance to work out what would work and what wouldn't work.
In 2015, we found ourselves in Bradford, West Yorkshire, a city that was once the wool capital of the world. We were there to meet hairdresser Michelle and her sales director partner Andrew, who had been at war over their house for the past 10 years.
Andrew and I are two teenagers that need some direction. We need somebody to actually take over and mediate.
And this is their battlefield. A bijou near 700 square feet, one-bedroomed bungalow that was Andrew's bachelor pad for 8 years before he met Michelle.
It's a comfort blanket for me. I've spent a lot of time here.
Michelle was lured into living in Andrew's house after he promised that if she sold her own home, they would eventually buy a place together.
But that was 10 years ago, and they're still in Andrew's bachelor pad paradise.
I've never really bonded with the house. I don't feel like I want to put pictures up. I feel like it doesn't have a heartbeat because it doesn't flow to how we want to live.
And it's the internal layout that's her primary cause for concern.
The main point is the lounge and the kitchen being separate.
You get more than two people, basically, and it's like sardines in the sort of little hall.
Michelle has one grown-up son, Cale, who lives 23 miles away in Wakefield. She would love for him and his partner to stay more often, but the lack of space makes this tricky.
When the family come to stay, we actually give our bed up for them, and we go in the caravan. If we did have the space more, they would be here more, definitely.
Well, this is an open and shut case. Andrew loves the house, and Michelle would list it tomorrow.
Oh, so I take it that this has belonged to Andrew first?
Yes, he enticed me by saying, it's OK, we'll move and we'll find somewhere together. So we did. We looked at a few houses, and he kind of, like, poo-pooed the idea. And I didn't really know him that well. And now when I look back, I was obviously blinded by love.
Michelle nearly got her way, with the pair putting in an offer on a new property 6 months ago. But Andrew got cold feet.
We've paid legal charges, and I've been forced to go to the vendor's house and explain to him what a stupid idiot I am.
Why? Because you've changed your mind?
Yes. I'm scared.
Honestly, I'm not laughing because I feel very sorry for that couple, but I've never heard of anyone doing that, and I'm really impressed.
So that just tells Kirsty and I how much you love this house.
Good luck getting this one to move, Phil.
I'll be armed with a budget of £300,000. But Andrew and Michelle will need to remember the added expense of £5,000 for stamp duty and around £4,500 in moving and legal costs.
All money down the drain. I reckon they should be investing this cash in this place. So they've given me a budget of up to 30 grand of their own hard-earned money, which will also add value to the house, should they be mad enough to list it. After spending some time in this bungalow, and after careful consideration of the layout, I know I can give this house the heartbeat Michelle wants. And I know exactly where to start, by showing them the drawings of a clever pixie I know.
We are right now in your potential dining room. What we're doing is taking down that wall. Andrew's in here, chefing his little heart out. You would be able to chat back and forward very happily.
Yeah. I'll be removing the wall between the kitchen and the sitting room to create a large open-plan kitchen living area. The kitchen will be refreshed, as will the decor throughout. And a new bathroom suite will be installed. Replacing this wall to the bedroom with sliding doors will create a multifunctional space, a sitting room for Michelle and Andrew that becomes a bedroom for guests. Finally, I am hoping that by insulating their conservatory, this space will be transformed into their new master bedroom.
This excites me, that the bedroom at the back. I never even dreamed of that happening.
Yeah, I mean, to me, on paper, it's a really workable solution. Obviously, depending on the cost and how much you're going to spend, because this is going to be the real deal breaker for me.
It's going to be our challenge, but we can meet that challenge.
I'm positive that after living for 10 years in Andrew's bachelor pad, Michelle will love their house. And after seeing her reaction to my plans, I'm pretty upbeat about the task ahead.
Back at Sue and Richard's home in Mapley, after 5 months of research and discussions, the build is underway.
Just to get the levels round for the ceiling.
They've decided to go ahead with almost everything I suggested. But due to escalating material and labour costs, Richard and Sue have made the decision to scale things back slightly. But with their beloved home being torn apart and so much still to do, Sue and Richard are feeling the strain of renovating.
At the moment, we're just feeling a bit stressed about it all still. There's so many decisions that have to be made quickly. And there's so much mess, and there's all that wondering if you've made the right decisions and are we going to do the right thing.
So just a few weeks into the build, and Kirsite was back to offer a helping hand.
So, it's 5 months since I was last here, and I'll tell you a secret, I always feel a little sick at this stage, because I'm a party to throwing people in the chaos that is having building work done in your home. So I'm going to go in and see how Sue and Richard are coping with having their house torn apart.
After sensibly scaling back Kirsty's original plan, due to the increased cost of building work, Sue and Richard are prioritising the downstairs, sorting out their toilet, kitchen and utility.
Oh, God. So they've got no kitchen, no utility room, no larder. It's all been pulled out, and there was lots of stuff stored, so God only knows where that all is. And they can kind of see the house now in all its... it's like destroyed, but they haven't got the joy of that wall coming down.
I know Sue and Richard are nervous about making final decisions on big things like the kitchen, so that's what I'm here to help with.
It's been 4 days. How are you coping?
Go on, how are you coping?
I'm going with the flow now that the work has started, but I'm not enjoying the mess. I'm looking forward to it being finished.
Yeah, yeah. But Richard's much better at going with the flow than I am. I'm the one doing all the stressing, I think.
What are your main concerns at this stage?
So it's making it... I mean, it's difficult with the walls still up to still picture how it's going to be.
What's the biggest decision?
I suppose, like, colours of the cupboards and worktops. But it is very difficult to find kitchens that aren't grey.
What colour would you like?
Green.
Yeah, OK, green. Green.
Yeah, but it is quite difficult because Richard tends to use the little wheelie chair in the kitchen to help him around
Yes.
there. And you bash into stuff, so we need stuff we can touch up if it gets chipped.
So you basically need a paintable kitchen?
Yeah.
Right, that's fine. So firstly, I think, let's find you a kitchen you can paint. And then the second thing is, let's find you a colour that you're really happy with. I mean, I always say I would err on the lighter side, but that room's not going to be lacking in light.
Updating your kitchen is usually a sound investment, and while it can be the most expensive room in a house to renovate, it could add up to 10% to the value of your property. If you're planning on keeping the same basic layout and the existing cabinets are in good condition, it can be a huge money saver to just replace or repaint the doors and drawer fronts. A new set of doors for an average-sized kitchen could cost as little as £500. Simply adding new handles on cupboards, drawers and doors is another budget-savvy fix that will make an impact for minimal cost. Changing rooms inevitably means taking lots of decisions about almost everything from the position of appliances and furniture to the style of light switches. So far, Sue and Richard have only made a decision about the tiles for the utility room and need a hand choosing a work surface.
Is that too jazzy for you?
I think it might be a bit much. I think I'd rather have something a bit
Plainer.
simpler.
Yeah.
I quite like this one because it's got some warmer colours in it.
Yeah, but it's clean while having warmer colours. I like that. I really like that.
I really like the effect of that.
Richard, have you got any views on the colour choice?
I like green too.
That's good.
How long have you been married to?
40 years this year.
How deep is your passion for green? To be honest, Richard, you wouldn't have made 40 years if you didn't like green.
I think just natural colour. Natural colours.
Yes. Organic colours.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Sue and Richard still have a long way to go, but I get the sense they know what they like, and that's half the battle.
In Bradford, Andrew and Michelle were happy to move ahead with Kirsty's plans. Michelle wasted no time and got stuck into packing up the house.
I don't think I've ever been in these drawers for such a long time.
And she's contemplating the prospect of change after a decade of living in limbo.
I feel excited that something is eventually happening now. I think I've not had the balls to stand up to Andrew. I think I should have done that an awful long time ago, but I kept believing that we are going to move and it will take time, and that's where we're going to end up.
This intervention is starting to pay off. I've got £30,000 to give Michelle a house with a heartbeat. It's quite a task, but I'm determined to give her the bright, open-plan house she has dreamed of.
Although Michelle is relishing the changes, the realisation of having his beloved home ripped up is making Andrew anxious.
It's been a lot less fun than I anticipated. The house is genuinely like an old pair of slippers, and they've been shredded. It's just like an alien place. I don't want to be here. Obviously, because there's nothing here, there's no kitchen, there's no bathroom. I would prefer prison, really, because they've got Sky TV, haven't they?
Can be sorted.
Yeah.
This is one of the toughest parts of any build. Seeing the contents of your house lying in a skip can be heartbreaking. I need Andrew to hold his nerve, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Phil's search fails to wow him.
Good luck with that, Kirsty, because I've got some brilliant houses to show them. In 2015, we were in Bradford, and Kirsty's plans to end the bickering over this bungalow were well underway. Carrying out the room-changing plans would take over 3 weeks, but the timing could not be worse, as it's forced Andrew and Michelle to live in their caravan during one of the coldest months of the year.
Palatial.
And to make matters worse, their builder, Kelvin, has hit upon a costly problem. To save this couple cash, I wanted to keep the original kitchen base units, but it's not to be.
The problem is the worktops are glued to the base units with expanding glue, so we can't take the worktops out without destroying the base units.
Which means a whole new kitchen, an added expense no one wanted. It's all going on, so time for a site visit.
How did it feel when you discovered that you had to rip out your existing kitchen?
When it started to take the worktops off and then the bottom cabinets began to crack, I kind of like, carry on, Kelvin, carry on, keep going.
There's no place quite like home.
I know, Andrew, I know, but it's going to look amazing. And also, if you can make it nice enough for Michelle, you won't have to move.
Bonus.
The spend on this project has gone up because the kitchen that we thought we could reuse wasn't properly fitted in the first place. That kind of thing is really unforeseen. It's not until you start doing the work that you can see the quality of the previous work.
And that's not all. Further investigation has shown that the idea of transforming the conservatory into a bedroom by insulating the walls and roof just won't work. The entire structure would need to be rebuilt as a single-storey extension, which, alongside my other plans for their current bedroom, would have added another £45,000. However, with such a slimmed-down project, the pressure to impress is now greater than ever, and a brand-new spanking kitchen can only help to drag this outdated bungalow into the 21st century. So I've sent them off to pick out the kitchen themselves. And surprisingly, Andrew's branching out from brown.
That's quite a good colour.
For the whole kitchen?
I'm full of surprises.
Yeah, that's nice. With a two-tone effect.
While these two might not be on the same side, at least they're agreeing on kitchen colours. That's definitely a step in the right direction. In Mapperley, I've been given a budget of £550,000 to find somewhere more suitable for Sue and Richard's needs. I've been scouring the local area for single-level homes with open-plan living, good-sized gardens and that all-important view. And I dare say I've come up trumps with my first offering. Recently refurbished, this stunning home is in turnkey condition. And it's significantly under budget, with a guide price of £435,000.
Come through into here and enjoy this.
Oh, wow, that's something, isn't it? Oh, that's not fair.
I mean, you can see from
That
miles.
is an amazing view.
Richard, do you think you could cook in the kitchen? You could manoeuvre around?
Yeah.
This was sounding very positive, but although I felt I ticked every box with the house, I knew the garden was a bit of a compromise.
I think the house itself is more or less perfect.
I sense a but.
The but is the garden and the lack of garage or storage outside.
OK.
Although they were underwhelmed by that garden, I was hoping my next offering would grow on them. On the market of £595,000, it's stretching their budget, but they wouldn't have to lift a finger because it's in immaculate condition.
How about look at this?
Oh, wow, it's massive.
Richard's big smile.
I think Richard likes it, yeah.
As well as the spacious lounge and spectacular kitchen, there's also a utility room, 3 good-sized bedrooms, a family bathroom and separate toilet, all on one level for Richard to access freely.
The first house that I showed you, the house delivered, but the garden fell down. I'm going to try and put that right with this bungalow. Have a look at this.
It's like a show garden, doesn't it?
The whole place looks like a show home.
Yes, it is.
From the look on Richard's face, he seems sold on this place.
What do you think?
Yeah.
They're nice. Yeah, it's decent size, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I can tell Sue is impressed.
Fitted wardrobes. Yeah, it feels like a nice, relaxing space as well, doesn't it?
There's no denying that this house is better suited to their current needs.
So, gang, how did I do?
I think this is my favourite house you have shown us.
Yeah.
Although none of the houses are ideal, it's really given us a good idea of the sort of houses that might be available.
I do know you've got to get the build finished and then see what that looks like before decisions can be taken. So good luck with that.
Thank you.
I always thought for you that was a difficult search because you weren't sort of saying, you know, for joyous reasons you're looking for something else. You were saying for practical and quite emotionally difficult reasons it might be a good idea if you got a different house.
Yes. I tell you, working particularly with Richard through that search, it brought to my mind that something that has accessibility, and there's, goodness knows, there's a lot of people in this world that that have access issues.
Yes.
The accessibility and aesthetics are not exclusive.
No. So I think it's a very good idea before you rush to move to wonder how adaptable your property really is.
10 months after our first visit, we were back in Mapperley to find out whether Kirsty had done enough to change Richard's mind over listing their period property.
Hello. Remember us?
Yes, welcome
She
back.
might well not want to remember us.
No, you're most welcome to come back and have a look.
I am desperate to have a look.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
What have you done? What have you done?
Where the front door used to open directly into the kitchen, Sue and Richard have embraced my idea of creating an entrance hall.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
It's a completely different house.
The cramped kitchen was once Richard and Sue's biggest bugbear. With limited space to move around, they were forever bumping into one another. But by removing the wall between the kitchen and dining room, we've created a more spacious and crucially more usable kitchen diner with space to entertain.
There was a loo here, wasn't there?
Yeah, loo there, yeah. A wall here.
Well, you wanted somewhere that was accessible and open.
What's extraordinary about it is that Nothing looks like it's in opposition to this house, which I loved the first moment I came in here.
It feels like it's us still.
You've been busy.
They certainly have. As much as I adored the generous larder that was once here, I'm pleased that Sue and Richard have taken my advice and repurposed the space to create a downstairs toilet with room to store the washer, dryer and kitchen utensils.
It's a much better space now. The layout means we don't get in each other's way as much.
Yeah.
Are you happier with this toilet than the old one?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled with that.
While the interior has certainly been improved, another of Richard and Sue's major problems was access to the garden, and I'm not convinced you'll have been able to fix that one, Kirsty.
Come on out, this is our porch that we've had redone.
Very smart. Because gardening was your thing, and I remember there were lots of plants in the old porch.
There were lots and lots of plants in there before, yes.
It lifts it. It does, of course, still cause Richard access difficulties to the garden.
Yeah, there wasn't any way, really, but we've put another entrance in the side of the garage to help with that.
Have you?
Yes. Where there was a window in the back of the garage, there's now a door, and that leads down the side. It's not completely level, but there's a lot fewer steps. So.
Clever. Yeah. You've thought of everything, Sue.
I know. I've tried.
And you've done a fabulous job, Sue. But Richard is the one I need to convince to stay, so I hope we've done enough.
There were compromises on those houses that I showed you, but then there are compromises here. It's a really close one. I couldn't call which way you were going to go.
Well, if you were going to sell this house, you might want to know what it's now worth. The average pre-renovation valuation was $370,000. The average post-renovation valuation is $490,000.
120,000 lift.
You have spent £58,000 on this build, and you have added £116,000 to the value of this house. Not one single penny of that has been badly spent.
Yeah, we've tried to be careful in what we've spent. You know, I've been trying not to go crazy, but to spend it on the things that we felt were most important.
It is that time.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Sue, Richard, are you going to love it?
Or are you going to list it?
Are you going to say? Or are we both going to say?
Yeah.
Both of us? We've been thinking about
Love it.
We're going to love it, yes.
I love this house. I would have been quite sad, I have to say.
I mean, it wasn't an easy decision, was it? Well, I think it was for you.
I decided fairly early on in the process that I wanted to stay.
You did show us, you know, that there are properties that could possibly suit us. But in the end, nothing seemed quite us.
The process has been hard work, but it's helped me to weigh up what our priorities are and where we live and what we want from our home.
Yeah. I'm not saying we'll stay here forever, because I think we probably won't. You know, at some point, it is too big for the two of us, but for the moment, it's where we're going to be, isn't it?
Good for you. Well done.
10 months later, Richard and Sue are still loving their house, and the changes have made a huge difference to their daily lives.
I've always loved this house and the area we live in, but after having my stroke, things are a lot more difficult for me. We both agreed that the house needed work doing to make it more suitable. I just thought it would be easier if we moved, but when I saw what we could do to the house, and especially when it was all finished, I just loved it. I think the change that has had the biggest impact for me is the kitchen layout, and especially the little seating area. If Sue is out, it's easy for me to get myself something to eat and to tidy up afterwards. The layout in the new toilet and utility room makes it really easy for me to use too.
Just when you look at it now, you think, wow, I could never have imagined doing that without some help along the way. So, yeah, really happy.
Good job that was.
That was one of the neatest, most perfect houses. When I first went to that house, I was like, this house is lovely.
Yes.
The kitchen doesn't work for them, but their decor, Sue's sense of colour, everything was just brilliant.
Yeah.
So I knew that once they got over the hump of the initial horror of knocking down walls and having all that dust, that what they ended up with would be really good.
I often think that the secret of a really good renovation is when you walk in and you think, it should have always been like this. Why wasn't it built like this in the first place? It's much better.
It's much better.
With a cracking finish like that, it was no surprise to me that they stayed. They loved it.
No.
And they're super happy.
Seeing that they're so happy, still happy with it, and that it's really worked out for them means the world.
We've been looking at how changing rooms can change how we live our lives. In Mapley, peace has been declared as Sue and Richard decided to love their updated Edwardian home. But here in Bradford, the battle over the bungalow continues.
Sales director and professional Yorkshireman Andrew has refused to move out of his old bachelor pad.
It's my most comfortable place in my life.
I had to find them somewhere bigger with a better functioning open plan living space, an extra bedroom for guests and parking for their caravan, along with somewhere for Andrew's bikes. And my first house was on the market for just under £300,000.
This bungalow is almost double the square footage of their current house. It has plenty of bedrooms for visiting family, the open plan aspect Michelle asked for, and tinkering room for Andrew and his bikes. Plus, it's actually closer to both their works and Michelle's son in Wakefield.
So how's that for a setting?
The setting is lovely.
180-degree views.
180-mile-an-hour road going down the front of it.
I knew it would be a tough ask getting Andrew to open his mind to moving, but I'm surprised how quickly he's found fault.
If you brought anybody but me up here with that view, it would be a real wow factor, but it's me, and the view is just no interest to me, which is quite disheartening for you, really, isn't it?
That is quite disheartening, yes.
To Michelle's and my frustration, it seems a somewhat stubborn Andrew has already made up his mind.
It's not somewhere I would move to.
I'm not saying that I want you to buy this house. I want to have a look round.
What is the point in looking round and...
But, Andrew, you need to look to know what you don't want as well as what you do want.
OK.
That's the whole thing about looking for houses. You've never looked at houses with me, you've looked at one.
Michelle's right, but after further exploration and even a glimmer of positivity...
I quite like bedroom off kitchen, close to the fridge.
Andrew's still not budging.
Wow.
It's a bathroom of gargantuan proportions, but unfortunately, it's just not attached to a house that I want to live in. The interior is still secondary to the exterior for me.
Well, if that's the case, Andrew, get ready to be wowed by my next property.
The house is just outside the village of Denholm and priced at £285,000, 15 grand under budget. It has all the outside space Andrew could need for cars, bikes and caravans, and it's even in a peaceful setting.
I'm excited. This is me being excited. Yeah, what? I mean, it's fabulous. Double settling, don't get any better than that, really.
My cunning plan has worked, and the interior should suit his taste too, as I'm gathering there must be a lot of Andrew-friendly brown furniture shops in Bradford. Now, that's not all. This property gives Michelle the open-plan living she craves, and it has 4 bedrooms.
Feels really friendly.
Does feel nice.
Usable space.
Yeah, it's pretty
And it must have filled your heart with joy that he was smiling outside.
Yes.
I don't often see that excited face.
No,
but long may it continue.
Yes,
come on.
Let's go on.
Here's me just trying to get Andrew to consider the idea of moving, and instead, I may well have found him his dream home.
Yeah, perfect. Nothing to do. Lovely.
I told you he'd be able to find us somewhere.
I didn't think he'd pull the rabbit out of the hat quite so efficiently.
It's got a nail
Damn
as
that
well.
Phil.
Just doing my job, Andrew.
I've gone from, yeah, let's get through this, to where can we save money at home, to make this a reality.
This house is that good.
This house is that good. I woke up this morning and wasn't moving. So I need to come to terms, am I now moving? I may very well be.
I was feeling pretty pleased with myself after Andrew's reaction to the last house. And just 10 weeks after we first met Andrew and Michelle, we were back to find out if they were going to love it or list it.
I have to say, I'm quietly confident which way this couple will go.
Come on, Andrew, you can do it.
Hello.
Hiya. Good morning, good morning.
How are you?
Good form, thank you.
Good.
This kitchen's two-tone effect adds colour whilst the reflective surfaces bounce the light back, and the clever curved cupboards are just right for the space. Nice choice, guys.
It's actually exactly the same size, but I think it just feels wider.
But a new kitchen is just the beginning.
Come on through, Phil. No, please note through.
Yes, through. Through the wall that is no longer a wall.
The wall that is no longer.
The old layout was making this house feel cramped, so out came my trusty sledgehammer and down came the wall.
It's good.
It's convivial. As soon as you get home, you're communicating. It's
Exactly.
a convivial space.
Yes.
You can do different things at the same time.
It's lovely.
Just thrilled to see here is you. This is your home, Michelle. Not just Andrew's home. Cover up his eyes. It's your home.
Even frugal Yorkshireman Andrew is coping with the banished browns and has embraced the new bright white walls.
The lights hardly go on, whereas before they were permanently on. That's the big...
Am I saving you money, Andrew?
You're saving me money,
Oh,
Kirsty.
that's really exciting to hear. That's one tick in my box, Phil Spencer.
That is true.
And another tick is the guest accommodation. Before, when guests came to stay, they were banished outside to the caravan. But now they have a place to stay indoors on this stylish sofa bed.
It's brilliant, because it comes out so quick.
Yeah.
And you get 4 people watching telly.
I quite like
Go on, sit down, you two. Yes. Oh. Look at Andrew, all stiff. He's not laying back with the rest of us.
OK, then.
Put the telly on.
There we go.
There we
This is probably our Saturday
Tea on the
night.
sofa.
There's no time for putting your feet up, Spencer. I want to show off the luxurious bathroom Michelle craved with its added vavavoom.
The spa bath is the star of the show.
That's my favourite room.
My original plan to make the conservatory a master bedroom was scuppered by the budget. So this is still a work in progress for Andrew and Michelle. But should they choose to stay, they still have the option of investing in this space in the future. And by not doing this work, they've kept well within their 30 grand budget by spending just under £25,000.
Before we got down to the nitty-gritty, I felt I needed to remind Andrew of how excited he'd been with my last house.
Well, sitting here today, that barn conversion is still available. It's on the market. Beautiful house, suits you down to the ground. It completely blew you away.
Yeah.
And it still has. It's still a cracking house.
Have you reached a decision?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you going to love it?
Or are you going to list it?
I'm really surprised you found the house for us that we both absolutely loved.
It's a good shout, Phil.
But I know you want a clear-cut answer.
We are going to love it. Sorry, Phil. I'm so sorry. I can't really believe I'm saying it, but I am. It's just such a huge change. And at this point in time, right now, we do love it.
Spending all our money on the lovely house, all the facilities that we had, just didn't seem important after this journey. You've helped me get rid of 10 years of what I now look back on as angst, really. But it really ain't about the moving, it's about us agreeing and coming together, which we, surprisingly to me, we have on this.
Making compromise.
Why should I put you through that pressure of affecting you so emotionally about moving when we've got already what we wanted?
I don't perform unless I'm given some pressure or a target or a stick to chase. That's how I am and how I will often be. Through this journey, I've seen a different part of me. I've seen sort of a part that I'm sort of a bit embarrassed about, oh, it's a brown house, it's my favourite slippers. I'm a bit embarrassed about that part of a grown-up fella not wanting to sort of make a home for his soulmate, and
I have at this moment in time deleted all the apps relating to house finding from my phone.
Yes.
I have.
Look at Kirsty's face.
I no longer get alerts on my phone when a new house has come up on the market.
Another example of rooms being combined. making big transformations. You open things up, combine 2 rooms, it worked. It wasn't a massive change, it wasn't awkward or difficult, it was pretty straightforward, but it worked. It felt like they had refurbished the whole house, but actually it wasn't that, the changes weren't that big, but it worked.
And it still wasn't a big house.
No.
But they didn't want a big house. They were happy with that house. They just wanted
their house rather than
They wanted that house to work for them.
Very different projects, but hugely successful. Both of them loved it. But actually, they were simple changes, but impactful, which is what it's all about.
I'm trying to think, does anyone ever list it?
Yes, they do. You should watch closely. You should try watching it. I won a series once.